What use is optimization?
Through this. Please, hurry! Your existence has been revoked.
None at all.
Alright, so a week has passed, and people who play Borderlands 4 have played Borderlands 4, including me. And I got some thoughts on this game. And I'm gonna get this out of the way now because it seems to be the biggest problem this game has right now, and that is its optimization. For the stuttering, honestly, it runs pretty good on my PC, but I also got one chunky PC, so, you know, not everyone has that. I've seen some clips of some gameplay on more of a normalized gaming PC, and it does not look fun to play, boys. That's not to say my experience was flawless and without any bugs or glitches, because there was more of those in here than I'd like there to be. I even got soft locked once because some valves didn't show up on a story mission and I had to save quit just to get them to spawn so I could even move on. So that kind of sucked. So this game could definitely use some polishing and hopefully really soon. Now I'm sure you've heard enough of this in other reviews and thought videos, and I'm glad to have added even more to that collection. Alright, now for the fun bits, because this game has a lot going for it. Once you get past all the bugs and crap, it's actually a pretty damn fun time. Especially if you've enjoyed the other Borderlands game, like I do. The Far Cry-esque open world for this game was pretty jarring to me at first, but then I remembered I like Far Cry, so I was actually pretty cool with it. And adding the Borderlands loot system into it really did make it a lot more fun to explore. Especially with all like the mini-bosses and stuff, trying to farm those for their drops was just a good time. At the time of writing this, I have about 40 hours into this game, so I played like 6 hours a day since it came out, and I was only on one character, who was Vex. And I got all the way to level 50 with them. And I got a pretty damn good build with her. Hopefully I'll be posting an early build video soon with that, but I want to talk about the gameplay a bit more. This gameplay is so far some of the most I've had fun in Borderlands in a really long time. I mean, I really dug into what every gun did and I picked it up. Regardless of the damage numbers, I was pleasantly surprised from a few things. Like, I found this Vladoff SMG that had a taser on it, right? And pretty much every Battlefield SMG can have a taser attachment on it. And they can have multiple charges on there. And if you hit a boss with it, you'll notice what the professionals call a fuck whack of damage. I could honestly talk all day about the crazy guns in this game, because there's so many. But just know that if you see some damage number lower than yours, just look at the attachment and maybe just give it a try, because you'll probably be surprised. I don't think I'm going to talk too long about the action skills, because I really only got to try one character, and I mainly stuck with a single action skill the entire game. And it was a cool action skill, don't get me wrong. I mean, you can change the action skill based on the augment you choose, and I did that pretty frequently based on the guns I chose. So I can at least say the action skill I used was really cool, but usually I used it to buff the guns I used and the status effect damage. I saw potential in my skill tree I went down for just action skill damage build, but I really like using guns, so I didn't do that. So I'm going to move on to the story a little bit. I know that following Borderlands 3, there's not much to live up to. But I was still very surprised by this story. I actually very much really liked it. There's some problems I had with it, and I'll get to that in a second, but for those who haven't played, but there's also 3 other side villains who have a lot of time in the spotlight. The one we're introduced to, Idolator Soul, and honestly I think he was the weakest one character-wise. Mainly because his character is just like really whiny, like a big man-child, and I think that's what they were going for, but I don't know why. I just found it annoying when he'd bitch and moan about us ruining his plan all the time. And what sucks is that this is the first side villain you get in the campaign. So it was a bad first impression for me when I started because I kind of found his character pretty mid and annoying. However, when I finally defeated him and branched out to the other zones, I was introduced to, like, the Ripper Queen, who was far cooler than Soul. And honestly, I think she had the sickest design out of any villain in this game. I mean, she just looks badass. Yeah, sometimes she got a little preachy when she was talking, and it kind of sounded like a cult leader I know, which is kind of gross, but luckily she did shut the hell up before it got to that point. But it was close. But she still had a very interesting character to learn about, and she was just really cool altogether. I liked her. But when I got to the final zone of the map, I was introduced to the Vile Lictor, who is definitely the coolest side villain of this campaign for me. He was more of a mystery man, like in the shadows, but he was always talking shit to you anyway. Like, even the icon where he talks to you in the top left was still kind of creepy when I looked at it. His role in the campaign was definitely a lot bigger than the Ripper Queen, I think. The Ripper Queen was still pretty big, but I feel like Vile Lictors definitely had a lot more lore implications and also impact on the story. And he was just kind of like this looming obstacle for you the entire time. He was also just an evil prick, and it was pretty fun to take him down. But last but not least, we got the Timekeeper, who was a looming threat throughout the whole campaign. However, I kind of wish he posed more obstacles for us throughout. It isn't until like near the end of the campaign when he finally starts using his actual powers to threaten us and make a big impact on us. He also usually only spoke to us a few times in each zone when we were dealing with the other 3 villains, and I feel like he could have been there as an opposing threat more often than he was. He certainly had the power to do it, but he just kind of didn't. But even with all that, I still feel like the main villains were all pretty damn solid and just a fun bunch to take down with your vast artillery. There's also some big reveals and twists in the story that I actually did like, especially at the end with the Timekeeper. I'm not going to spoil it for those who have played, but I thought it was a pretty cool twist for the Timekeeper that actually made sense for the lore. Well, I think I've talked about most of the good and some of the bad, and now it's time for me to talk about the ugly. The endgame. Now, I just recently got to level 50, and let me tell you that shit was not fun to level up. Fighting bosses basically gets you 0 XP, and the only real way to get XP is from bounties. Those things you always ignore in the safe houses, yeah, those. It's just a tedious and slow way to level up. Luckily, I finished the campaign at like level 40 because I did a lot of stuff before beating it, but like even 10 levels was just a chore. But once I got there, I got introduced to the real endgame, wildcard missions. So these weekly wildcard missions are just a bust. I mean, who the hell thought of this? Replaying a story mission but every enemy is frustrating to fight? Come on. The first mission I got, the first half was just doing chores around the city, making repairs, and by that I mean pulling levers and wheels and crap. So no combat for like 5 minutes, then when the combat actually started, damn it was awful. Every enemy that I killed spawned a singularity on their death, and there was a lot of enemies. So getting pulled around, trying to survive all of that, it was a pretty bad time. So once I farmed enough with my current character for all the gear that I wanted for her, I kind of just have to wait for more content to come out because there's not really anything else to do. In the meantime though, I got other Vault Hunters to play, and if you want to see a playthrough of my next run, then I'm probably going to upload that at some point, so stay tuned for that. Also, most likely a Vex build show-off video, because I kind of just want to show off some stuff that I found out, even some cool tech that I found that's pretty cool. If you're wondering why I didn't record my Vex playthrough, it was mainly because I just wanted to have my first playthrough in this game without, you know, a microphone in my face. And by that I also mean I didn't want to try and be entertaining while playing, I just wanted to play. Having to play with, like, some pressure of wondering if I'm gonna, like, include this in a video or, like, just trying to be entertaining, it kind of just dulls the experience. I don't really want to do that for my first playthrough. But since I got that out of my system, new playthroughs are on the way, boys! Alright, well, that's about all my thoughts. Later. Oh yeah, I guess I never actually, like, said my verdict on the game. I liked it. I liked it a lot.